Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we are cracking open a fascinating, declassified dossier to forensically trace what our source material describes as the evolution of covert assassination technology. We're diving deep into a concept that's often referred to as the invisible bullet. So I want you to think about this chilling question for a second. How do you actually execute the perfect, completely untraceable assassination? Today, we're going to look at how our sources claim black budget science approached and essentially solved the massive problem of leaving forensic evidence behind at a crime scene. It's an absolutely wild journey that takes us from Cold War spycraft straight into the realm of modern physics. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to cover 1. The 1975 Congressional Confession. 2. The shift from chemistry to physics. 3. The heart's electrical engine. 4. The directed energy upgrade. And finally, 5. The patent trail. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the 1975 Congressional Confession. We're going to start our forensic audit with a piece of documented historical fact straight from the halls of the United States Senate. Let's map out the timeline in the 1970s, because this is when the whole paranoid conspiracy of a heart attack gun became official congressional fact. Back in the early 70s, a program called Project Naomi was busy developing biological weapons at Fort Detrick. Then, in September of 1975, CIA Director William Colby actually had to testify about this at the Church Committee. And wouldn't you know it, just a few months later, in April 1976, a U.S. patent for biodegradable projectiles was officially granted. Now, what's really wild is the physical hardware that William Colby was forced to display to the Senate. Developed under that Naomi project, it was basically a heavily modified Colt M1911 pistol. But here's the catch. It didn't use gunpowder. Instead, it featured a battery-powered, near-silent electrical firing mechanism. The whole thing was engineered by a Department of Defense weapons developer named Charles Sensony, and it was tailored specifically to bypass a standard medical autopsy. But honestly, the real genius of this system wasn't the gun itself. It was the ammunition. The weapon fired this microscopic frozen saxitoxin dart that would just melt right into the target's bloodstream. The poison would immediately paralyze the cardiovascular system, causing a massive heart attack. And the craziest part? It left only a tiny red dot that basically just looked like a mosquito bite. You might be wondering, is there a paper trail for this kind of thing? Absolutely. The components of these systems are fully documented. Take U.S. Patent 3948263A, for example. It explicitly describes a projectile casing made of dissolving polymers. These polymers are specifically designed to completely degrade the moment they enter warm biological tissue. So it literally leaves zero ballistic evidence, no bullet to find, no exit wound, nothing. Which brings us to Section 2, from chemistry to physics. So that 1975 dart gun, honestly, it's pretty much a museum piece today. The crucial point our source material makes is that there's been a terrifying technological paradigm shift. They moved the mechanism of murder away from messy chemical poisons and right into the completely invisible realm of physics. Think about it. Back in 1975, in the chemistry era, you had a frozen saxitoxin dart that required a 100-meter range, and it still left that tiny red dot. But jump to the modern era of physics, and you're looking at directed energy weapons. We're talking invisible microwave or scalar pulses that leave absolutely zero forensic trace whatsoever. Let's move on to Section 3, the heart's electrical engine. To really grasp how an invisible bullet actually works, we need to look at the human body and the biological vulnerability it's targeting. You see, the human heart isn't just a mechanical pump. It's actually a highly sensitive electrical engine, and it is completely reliant on the super faint signals of the sinoatrial node. The SA node is just a small cluster of cells, but it acts as your body's natural pacemaker. It's what generates those spontaneous electrical impulses that command your heart muscle to contract and keep you alive. Now, because the heart operates on these incredibly faint electrical currents, if you introduce a catastrophic electromagnetic override, it instantly short-circuits the entire system. This throws the heart into fatal ventricular fibrillation. Basically, external radio frequency interference just completely overwhelms that SA node. The heart starts to quiver uselessly, and it induces sudden total cardiac arrest. All right, on to Section 4, the directed energy upgrade. Let's look at how all this science builds into the hardware allegedly deployed in the 21st century. The modern iteration of this weapon completely replaces the physical projectile with a frequency. It uses highly directional microwave emitters, specifically miniaturized virtual cathode oscillators, or Vercators for short. These things can generate a massive microwave pulse. And the most terrifying capability mentioned by the sources, it can reportedly project a focused beam right through physical walls. So instead of an assassin needing a direct line of sight, an operative can theoretically just project a localized biological EMP from outside. Our sources break down exactly how they claim one of these modern strikes is executed. Step 1. The operative locates the target's biological mass using through-wall radar. Step 2. They aim a directional microwave emitter, maybe from an unmarked van out on the street or even a drone. Step 3. They fire a focused 2-second burst of pulsed RF energy that is tuned perfectly to the target's SA node. And Step 4. The target dies of sudden cardiac arrest within minutes. The entire operation is reportedly executed straight through the brick walls of a bedroom while the target is fast asleep. This leads us right into Section 5, the patent trail. Now, obviously, intelligence agencies aren't filing public patents labeled Assassination Ray. But as the sources point out, they do patent the specific underlying mechanisms required to remotely manipulate human biology. Take a look at this incredibly revealing 2003 patent by a man named Hendricus G. Loos. It explicitly discusses, quote, nervous system manipulation by electromagnetic fields. The patent claims that sensory resonances can actually be excited by pulsed fields. So this document is literally mapping out the exact resonant frequencies claimed to hack the human autonomic nervous system from a distance. And it really doesn't stop there. There are other unclassified patents detailing all sorts of capabilities. We're talking about reading and altering brainwaves, or utilizing the microwave auditory fray effect, which actually causes microscopic thermal expansion right inside human tissue. There are even blueprints for using interfering waves to create localized nodes of energy. Together, these patents theoretically outline everything you'd need to do things like sever the vagus nerve's cardiovascular regulation, or induce microscopic thermal shockwaves inside someone's head. Put all this together, and you're looking at the ultimate result outlined in the dossier, the perfect crime. If a directed energy strike like this is actually executed, the medical examiner is completely left in the dark. A coroner would theoretically find no toxins, no puncture wounds, and absolutely no metallic traces. Without any conventional forensic evidence to point to, they would just record the death as a perfectly natural heart attack. So, naturally, you're probably wondering, is there any physical defense against this? Well, the only physical barrier against these specific radio frequency strikes is a Faraday cage. Basically, that's a continuous, grounded, highly conductive barrier that blocks standard RF and microwave energy. The sources suggest that completely lining your sleeping quarters with a copper mesh Faraday cage is theoretically the only real way to block these incoming frequencies. Ultimately, looking at this declassified trail and all these accompanying theories leaves us with a pretty profound and, let's be honest, unsettling question. If weapons can be completely invisible and leave absolutely zero trace behind, how safe are you truly behind closed doors? In a world where covert operations could theoretically utilize pure physics to bypass physical walls and directly target the electrical engine of the human heart, is anyone ever truly out of the crosshairs? It's definitely a lot to process. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning what you think you know.